With the team's first preseason game officially in the books, New York Jets fans now have a better idea of what the team's 53-man roster could look like. However, each year we always see the surprise cuts and they come out of nowhere. Right here on NY Flight Jets Talk, we're joined by Jets insider Nick Faria, where we will break down some surprise cut candidates all fans should be aware of. Right after this, baby. Let's go.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Samini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Long.
New York Jet fans, hello everyone, and welcome back here into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk as we come to you guys live right here on a Victory Monday, baby, August 11th, 2025. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe on your way into the building. It's completely free, and it helps us grow significantly right here on NY Flight Jets Talk. Connor Long with you guys here on the show. Make sure you get all your super chats and memberships in as well. It's the paid way to help us grow. Every $2 super chat or gifted membership gives you a raffle entry. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You guys have been so gracious with these memberships these past few days. Much appreciate that. Keep it going. Supports the show in a very significant way. And joining us now, as he's kind enough to do every single Monday, the great Nick Faria, Jets X Factor, baby, joins us here on the show. Nick, it is a Victory Monday, and despite your article, starters did play for the New York Jets, and they made it back.
Yeah, starters played. They played well. Starting defense doesn't give up a point. Offense goes 10 plays, 79 yards for a score. Could not have scripted a better look and a better start for the Jets under Aaron Glenn. They looked prepared. They looked focused. They looked pretty damn good in that first preseason game against a playoff contender.
You think we're going to see the starters in the final two preseason games, Nick? Do you think this is going to be a thing where we see at least one series out of these guys?
Well, it's interesting because Aaron Glenn kind of made the point that he's going to try to win every single game he plays.
Yep.
And based on that mindset, he'll play a second preseason game and third preseason game. But with joint practices, I think it'll probably be a little more understanding where if they kick the Giants' ass this week, I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets kind of sit back and say, listen, we don't have anything more to prove. Just like preseason, let's sit our guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. If they struggle, then we could see the starters. And then, of course, in the third preseason game, all bets are off. That's usually a time for the bottom of the roster players. But Glenn has clearly shown that that's not really the focus. So we shall see. It really comes down to these next couple of joint practices, though, with the Giants.
Jermaine Johnson, Nick, activated off the PUP list. Obviously, we know his deal. Torn Achilles, suffered week 2 of last year's season against the Tennessee Titans. Are we expecting to see him at all this week? Are we expecting to see him on the field for the joint practice for the preseason game? How are the Jets able to ease him back into this rotation that is really wide open alongside Will McDonald on the edge?
I would be shocked if he participates in any of these team drills against the Giants. First few practices, they're probably going to put him through the rehab situation, make sure he gets incrementally better within their new defensive scheme. I just think it's foolish to sit there and expect him to jump in and play right away. This is going to be long, drawn out, and rightfully so, because Achilles injuries are very tricky. You don't want to retake. You want to make sure the recovery process is going not quickly, but efficiently. No one's rushing anything. And as long as they do that, Johnson should be able to be ready to go. Make sure everyone is clear that just because he can make an impact doesn't mean that it's expected.
Absolutely. Nick, I think we lost you there for a second. We see that you're joining now. So you there, Nick?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
There we go. I think you just caught a dead zone there. Yeah.
Sorry. It's always
all good. All good. I was worried there was a crash that occurred. So it's good to hear that you're in one piece and still in the driver's seats there. But Nick, I wanted to get into some cut candidates, some surprise cuts, because one game into the preseason now, fans begin to draw a better understanding of what this team's 53-man roster could look like. I launched my 53-man roster projection, my first for JetsXFactor.com, and I want to get into some of the position groups. First, the wide receiver group, because that was the most intriguing one. That was the most polarizing one that I drew up here. I have the Jets rolling with 6 wide receivers. Those 6 wide receivers: Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Tyler Johnson, Arian Smith, Quentin Skinner, and Jamal Pritchett. So no Alan Lazard, no Malachi Corley for me. Those are the 2 notable cuts in that group. Could you see a world where the Jets carry 2 new UDFAs in Skinner and Pritchett and part ways with the former third-round pick Corley and move on from Lazard? We saw Lazard dealing with a shoulder injury during Saturday's game. He left early. A sling on his right arm. Is this feasible for this team, Nick?
Certainly feasible, but we are still very early in this process. If Corley steps up, really the Jets are looking for any excuse right now to see that Corley is deserving of a roster spot. And so far he hasn't. But if he shows any inkling of success, I think they'll try to give him that roster spot as opposed to an undrafted free agent. But Pritchett, Skinner, these guys stepped up and looked good in the preseason game. They've stepped up and looked really good throughout training camp. Lazard's injury certainly complicates matters. All bets are off, essentially, with this position group because just there's so many different ways that it could still go over the next couple of weeks.
My thought process here, Nick, with building his receiver room with the 2 UDFAs and building them in is, well, Jamal Pritchett can replace Xavier Gibson's role as the punt and kick returner on this team while offering more offensive upside, more value as a route runner. We know that one of the main concerns regarding Malachi Corley is his route running ability. Pritchett, it gives you a higher ceiling there. He has stronger hands than Xavier Gibson and Corley as well, so it's a bonus as well. And then Quentin Skinner, you look, and he's a UDFA who's known for his explosiveness, averaged over 20 yards a catch at Kansas last year. He's able to replace Lazard as that big-bodied guy, 6'5", 195 pounds. That was my thought process on trying to build those 2 to UDFAs into the 53. Nick, I know you mentioned all bets are off here with this position group and trying to carve out a 53 because, you know, it's just so intriguing, so many moving pieces. It can go in so many different directions. Are any UDFAs in this position group on the 53, Nick? Is Quentin Skinner here? Is Jamal Pritchett here come cut down day?
It's tough to say right now. And it's a bad answer to give, obviously, with a question like this. But I think we're a little early in this process, mostly because with Lazard hurt, that obviously changes things. They could use another big body receiver. One would think that means that Skinner could have a chance at the final roster spot. What happens with Xavier Gibson? What happens with all these other guys potentially as returners? That could certainly influence a guy like Jamal Pritchett. So these injuries are not done, and it's rarely ever done in the preseason and in training camp. So the focus for me, if I'm the Jets, is I'm not coming close to any decision right now at receiver because I want to see these guys work together. If anything, the one thing that I saw that is just more apparent is that Arian Smith needs more playing time. He needs more reps with the starting offense because that speed. You know, there's not many times the quarterback's going to overthrow him, but that was the case last game against the Packers. If Arian Smith gets more reps, it is really fun to watch, man. That speed can be something that the Jets have not had in a very long time.
I was a lucky guy, Nick. In my dynasty league, I was fortunate enough to swoop Arian Smith up on the waiver wire following this year's rookie draft. So I'm hoping to see some big plays out of him this year and obviously for years to come as well. He just brings a completely different dimension to this offense, which I think is so special. A lot of people compare him to Malachi Corley. I look at him differently. I view Corley as that gadget type player on jet sweeps, end arounds, RPOs. Can Arian Smith do that? Sure, but I want to see him used as this guy who can go, you know, downfield 20 yards on vertical routes, and Justin Fields is able to hit him in stride for a 30, 40-yard game. That's the way I view Arian Smith and how he's able to fit in on this offense. Someone who's been trying to fit in all summer long on the defensive side of the ball, Derek Nandi, Nick, free agent addition for this team throughout training camp. And obviously on Saturday against Green Bay, I did not have him on my 53-man roster, had him just on the outside looking in there. The edges, I have him rolling with Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, Clemens, unfortunately, Tyler Barron, Eric Watts, Rashad Weaver. Interior of the line goes with Quinnen Williams, Leonard Taylor III, Byron Cowart, Peyton Page, the UDFA, and Jay Tufele, baby, Nick. Jay Tufele, sack and a half, a touchdown. What a game out of him. Has it been a disappointment with what you've seen from Nandi at training camp? Is he going to make the final roster? Because he's been so inconsistent throughout his career, and the fact that we haven't seen anything out of him this summer, he's been invisible. That's certainly a concern for me.
Yeah, I'll be quite honest. First off, I want to bring back up Aaron Smith because you talked about his speed, his athletic ability. Kind of reminds you of someone, doesn't he? Like that speed.
Deshaun Jackson? Have you tweeted about him a few times?
He's not exactly a gadget player, but if he can go down the field for a 50-yard bomb once a game, I've seen that before. I don't know where, but I've certainly seen that before.
Are you the
in
Eagles
my football viewership.
You watch the Eagles?
Who knows? Who knows what I'm talking about? But with Nandi specifically, I also do not have him on my 53-man roster. He has not been an impactful player in camp, was not an impactful player during the preseason game. And he was brought in more as a run stuffer, and all of that makes sense. But you saw improvement from the Jets' run defense in that game alone, and that solely is based on their schematics. This is where I talked about it. I've been talking about this for a long time. Jet fans were worried about their edge rushers. They couldn't set the edge. They couldn't do this. But they're not playing the wide 9 anymore, and that only helps them out moving forward. And quite frankly, I do believe that this team is going to be far better against the run purely from a schematic standpoint, not a player standpoint. And that's where you kind of look at Nadi and say, listen, you got to be impactful, and he hasn't been to this point. So it does not surprise me one bit that he's on the roster bubble, and quite frankly, it doesn't look good for him.
The linebacker room, Nick. This is another interesting one because Marcelino McCrary-Ball was viewed as the favorite for this linebacker 3 job, pretty much consensusly, around the reporters, around this fan base. And then you go into the game against Green Bay. Poor performance from him overall, had the late hit on Luke Musgrave, which warranted a scolding from head coach Aaron Glenn on the sideline. That clip going around social media. I don't have him on my 53 right now. I have Francisco Mauigo with a 5th-round pick, former 1st-round pick Jamin Davis, and UDFA Jamarcus Weston rounding out this group. Nick, what does your linebacker room look like on your 53 prediction?
So I actually had McCrary-Ball. So I put it out there when I sent it over as part of the Jets beat writers. We have to put in our roster prediction. And I had McCrary-Ball making it over Jamin Davis. Obviously, if I had that back after that game, it certainly flips. I think Davis clearly showed enough. He played really, really well. And McCrary-Ball did. And he played an undisciplined brand of football that doesn't really earn you a job. So long way to go. We'll see if that changes, if he plays at a high level in the 2nd and 3rd preseason game. But Saturday was a big-time hurtful day for McCrary-Ball and his chances.
The way I view it, Nick, I think Jamarcus Weston potentially gives you just as much as Ball on special teams, and he was way better in coverage on Saturday as well. So I look at a guy like Jamarcus Weston, Nick, who could potentially replace the role of Marcelino McCrary-Ball as he earns a spot on the team's practice squad.
We shall see. And again, these are all predictions right now, and these are based off of game film. It's based off of a lot of different factors. But this could change in a week. We could be talking about McCrary-Ball being, he was great against the Giants. He'll be the starter once again. It's important not to swing too much on the pendulum of, this guy's bad. This guy's good. We have to let it play out. But quite frankly, when you play on a disciplined brand of ball for a team that's trying to figure out and try to solve that discipline issue, it's not a good look.
Bump Cooper, Nick, Ryan Cooper, who the Jets added after they released Kai Kroger just 2 weeks ago. He's someone who, I know I've covered a few training camp practices. Among the training camp practices that I've been at, I've covered, he's someone I saw flying around, making big hits, following receivers well in coverage. And that translated on Saturday. His tackling seemed to be an issue, but in coverage, he was stingy. He was flying around. He was making big plays. He was delivering strong hits. I don't have him on my 53 right now, Nick, but this is a guy, in my opinion, if we continue to see him progress throughout these final 2 preseason games, he could be knocking on that doorstep.
I think it's hard for him. It's kind of like Donovan Edwards. The numbers aren't there for him. Like, you think about it, the Jets have 3 starting corners, and they have 2 immediate backups. Quantez Stiggers, who I think makes the team easily, and, of course, the 3rd-rounder, A.Z. Thomas. So that's 5. Normally, you would want to have 6. So who's the 6th guy? Well, you could have a Jordan Clark. You can certainly have this Cooper kid. You could also keep Isaiah Oliver, and instead of having just 3 safeties, make it like 4 or 5. So it really comes down to a number of different factors. And listen, he's played well. Cooper's played well. But where is that roster spot going to come? The Jets right now, particularly at running back, they've got 3 that we know they're going to keep. You have to think that Beck is going to make the roster as well. So that's already 4. Well, if you add in Kenny Nagwanu, who's kind of your kick returner and should be your kick returner because of how well he's looked, that's 5. Are you going to keep a 6th running back? Probably not, because that takes away an offensive lineman. It takes away a defensive lineman. Kind of the same message here at cornerback where there's not a lot of room. And for Cooper to play well, that's great. That may mean he's going to get picked up on another team instead. And because there's just not a lot of room right now on this roster.
The way I had it shaping out in the secondary, Nick, I had 6 cornerbacks. I had Sauce Gardner, Brennan Stevens, Zaire Thomas, Michael Carter, the second, Isaiah Oliver, and Quantez Stiggers. And then with the safeties, I only carried 3 safeties because my thought process with the safety room would be you have Isaiah Oliver as that hybrid guy who's played in Steve Wilkes' scheme. He is just a complete Swiss Army knife. And I know that's what Jeff Ulbrich said last year, but that's truly what he is. He gives you value as a gunner. He can play the slot. He can play the boundary for you. He can be in a high safety. He is just such a versatile piece, and I think that really helps this team. You mentioned Andrew Beck there. I have him cracking this team. I view him as the hybrid guy as well for the offensive side of the ball. He can be the fullback. He can be your heavy H-back, but he also has experience as a route runner. He's experienced as a pass catcher. He flashed that skill set on Saturday. So I think having these versatile pieces on this roster certainly going to play a huge role on the team's roster decisions, how many players they carry at each position. And guys like Beck, guys like Oliver are hard to move on from just because of how rare their skill set is, how rare their versatility is. And obviously we'll continue to monitor all the roster bubble moves, all the tight decisions the Jets will have to make here. You know, it's creeping up on us with only 2 preseason games left. I know that sounds like a lot, folks, but think about how fast this game week flew by. Just 2 preseason games left. Obviously, you got the 2 joint practices this week, tomorrow and Wednesday against the Giants, take on the Giants on Saturday, and then their final preseason game against Nick's Philadelphia Eagles just 2 weeks away. So, Nick, nevertheless, can't thank you enough for sparing some time for us here on the show. You got any final thoughts here before we wrap up?
Nope. As always, just remember, it's a long way to go before the start of the regular season. What we may perceive as a lock may not end up being so by the time cut down finally comes.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's Jets X Factor's Nick Faria. Lucky enough to have him on the show here every single Monday evening. Quick break, and we'll be back right here on the show. Stay tuned, folks. You're listening to NY Flight Jets Talk, streaming live right here on YouTube and Twitter. Connor Long right here with you guys on the show. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe. It is completely free, and it helps more Jet fans find us, baby. We are almost at 2,000 subscribers, 1,926. We're going to hit 2K before the season starts. I already know, and for it to come to fruition, you guys have to be a part of it. So hit subscribe, hit the like button, folks. Like I said, it is completely free, and it helps us grow significantly here on the show. The paid way to support the show helps us grow just as much as you can get into our membership raffle, baby. Happening on August 15th. Every $2 Super Chat or gifted membership gets you an entry and an opportunity to win a Lavernius Coles, Wayne Corbett, Santana Moss signed photo, a Don Maynard signed photo, an Altoon signed photo, a free item from our merch store, a channel emoji, and most importantly, our grand prize, which is a Sauce Gardner signed picture that comes framed. So again, get all your super chats, get all your memberships in. raffle happening on August 15th. Every $2 Super Chat or gifted membership gives you an entry. You guys have been super generous with these Super Chats, with these memberships recently, so keep the momentum going, guys. It really, really helps the show grow, and it means a lot to me personally, so I appreciate all of your support. As always, again, Connor Long right here with you guys on NY Flight Jets Talk. I'll stay on here a little longer. Shout out to Nick, who joins us every single Monday. Great doing a 15-minute spot with him to start the show. Guys, got any questions, comments, thoughts? Be sure to load those up in the chat. You guys can call into the show with the pinned comment because, again, we'll do a Q&A as we do to close every single show. So, again, questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. Call into the show with the pinned comment. Make sure you smash the like button and hit subscribe. I'm Connor Long right here with you guys on a Monday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Hope everyone had a great first day back to work. Hope everyone had a great start to the week, enjoying the beautiful weather as summer does begin to wind down. Let's say what's up to everyone in the chat. Chris B, as always, in here early, in here representing the great Jets fan base. Great to see you, Chris. Kindest man in Jets YouTube. Appreciate the support, and I appreciate your kind words, as always, right here on the show. Incel Allen, good to see you, my friend. Appreciate you tuning in. Brooklyn Boys, good to see you in the chat. Indy Jets, good to see you in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you all for joining us. John in the chat, appreciate it. Just don't forget to hit the like button for our boy Connor. John, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And yes, everyone, keep hitting the like button. Keep hitting subscribe. It is completely free. Helps us grow. John in the building. What's up, John? Good to see you. Our guy Jay, 3 siblings in the chat. Good to see you, Jay. And again, questions, comments, thoughts, throw all of those in the chat. We start off with John today, who says, I despise Lazard because he quit on the team a couple seasons ago, but he does block well. And 3 wide receiver sets, having Reynolds and Lazard out there isn't the worst thing in the world, says just my 2 cents. So, and again, I appreciate the question, John. I appreciate you tuning in right here on the show. And I know a lot of this fan base isn't high on Lazard. I'm not high on Lazard. Those who listen to the show know my stance on Alan Lazard. I am not a big Alan Lazard fan. And frankly, if you saw my 53-man roster prediction on Jets X Factor, I'll pull it up here for you guys. I did not have Alan Lazard cracking the team. I had 6 wide receivers on the 53. Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Tyler Johnson, Arian Smith, the 2 UDFAs, Quentin Skinner, and Jamal Pritchett closing things out. So no Alan Lazard for me on that list. And the biggest thing I come down to with Lazard, and you mentioned it kind of there, John, you back up your point pretty well. I don't want to see 2 wide receivers roster just for their blocking ability when you have an explosive threat like Quentin Skinner, who you might have to pass up on because of that. I mentioned Skinner there. He's able to fill Lazard's role. He's 6'5", 195 pounds, explosive threat, big play guy, can get downfield and make plays for you. I take a gamble on the UDFA's explosiveness. I take a gamble on his upside more than I do trying to roll out an aging Alan Lazard when you can save cap space by cutting him. You don't owe him a ton of money on this new restructured deal, which Darren Mushi did a great job ironing out. You could even trade him potentially. He's a movable asset with his smaller cap hit. So I understand what you're saying, John, and I appreciate the comment as always. I just don't understand rostering 2 wide receivers for their blocking ability when you have multiple UDFAs who are explosive, who are big play threats, one like Quentin Skinner who can effectively replace Alan Lazard's role in the passing attack as well. So that's just my thought. I appreciate the comment, John, and I appreciate you tuning in right here on NY Flight Jets Talk. Again, guys, questions, comments, thoughts, throw all those in the chat. We'll stay on here a little longer and get to all you guys tuning in. Jay says, Connor, is your confidence growing on this team? I mean, as much as it can after one preseason game. That's the thing. I was high on this team to begin with. I have them winning 8 games. I am a big Justin Fields fan. So I think that's the biggest discrepancy when you talk about win totals. Someone might have this team winning 6 games. Well, you're high on Justin Fields. Their answer is no. I have the Jets winning 8 games, primarily because I think Justin Fields is able to be a top 15 quarterback in this league. So my confidence off the game is growing in the sense of we're starting to see, accountability from Glenn come into fruition. We're not seeing the penalty issues be resolved on the stat sheet yet because, again, like I've mentioned multiple times here on the show, that's something that you don't just flick a switch on. That's something that is a fundamental issue that certainly takes time. It takes reps to be able to change that. So that's not something I expect to change overnight. That's something I expect to, a change that is able to, get better game in and game out throughout the regular season. Then you approach next year and it's a completely different team. I think that's the mindset when it comes to kind of fixing these penalty issues and wiping accountability, wiping no accountability, out of the building and bringing accountability into the building. So my confidence is growing, as much as it can, just based on one preseason game. I like Glenn chewing out players. I like the way this offense was moving. I like the way that Fields was managing the offense. I like the way the offensive line looked and, blocking schemes, gap schemes. I like the way the pass rush looked. The run defense was improved, which Nick spoke about earlier on in the show. So as much as it can for one preseason game, yes. Dino in the building. Good to see you, Dino. Thank you for joining us here on the show. Glenn is a dog, baby. That's the mindset after the first preseason game, and I'm happy to see everyone in this fan base is excited about the preseason win. I'm happy to see that everyone in this fan base is excited for Aaron Glenn, but again, it's just one preseason game. I come back to that all the time when I'm getting excited about this team, especially about Saturday's game. It's just a preseason game, though, so let's see it in the regular season. Let's see it on September 7th when we face off against the old man himself, Aaron Rodgers, who is leading the Pittsburgh Steelers. By the way, I don't think this is a story that's received enough coverage. Cam Hayward, Steelers defensive tackle, had missed a holdout. This is something that could potentially carry into week 1 and affect the Jets matchup as we sit here on August 11th and nothing remains figured out between Hayward and the Steelers. So continue to monitor that situation, Jet fans, because that can impact the team's approach to September 7th. So keep that in mind here. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that. Brooklyn Boys says, will Engstrand's aggressiveness and creativity decrease with less talent, roster, and offense? I mean, no, because your play calling obviously shifts based on the personnel that you have. That's a given for NFL play callers, NFL coordinators. That's just what happened. That's just, what happens. Like the Jets don't have, the caliber, obviously, of personnel that the Lions do, but they have similar pieces, and that's the whole point of a good play caller. The whole point of a good play caller is someone who's able to, take a scheme, be innovative, have your own scheme, or, take a scheme from a team building that you were a part of, Engstrand with the Lions, where, maybe the Jets don't have as much talent as the Lions, but they have similar pieces. So to be able to mix and match with those guys, implement the same scheme, raise the floor and obviously up the ceiling. I think that's going to be the biggest thing with Engstrand. So no, I don't think his creativity would ever decrease, or any good play caller's creativity would ever decrease because they don't have a good roster. It's all about personnel when it comes to play callers, and they have to adapt scheme based on personnel. But because the Jets have a less talented roster, I don't think that's going to affect Engstrand's creativity and innovation with this team whatsoever. We'll take one more and we'll wrap because I got to run 7:45. So I got to run quickly. We'll do one more and then I got to head out. But nevertheless, thank you all for joining us. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Road to 2K. We're back tomorrow no matter what. Daily content here on the show. We're breaking down the joint practice with the Giants tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Filling in for my guy Jake Gasman, 10 a.m. tomorrow and Wednesday. So dual fill-in shifts for Jake 2 days in a row. So be sure to tune into that Jake Gasman show on YouTube. You guys already know. Appreciate you all. You guys have been so great supporting me, so it really means a lot. Ray Sell reports through the Jets sign Amari Cooper. At this point, the Jets have their roster. The Jets have their depth chart. I don't know how much adding an aging veteran who we've clearly seen the decline with him over the past years, how much that's really going to do for this team. I don't think the Jets have any interest in adding an aging receiver like that, adding another receiver who is going to take up a roster spot here. Could he make an impact? Sure, but I think the Jets feel confident in the younger guys they have in the building. From what I understand, the Jets really, really like Jamal Pritchett, and they're going to want to carve out a role for him in this offense. They're going to try to get him onto the roster. Quentin Skinner, another player I have in my roster prediction as a UDFA who's looking to create a role. The Jets have their set of veterans in this receiver room. They have Alan Lazard if they want to move forward with him on the 53. They have Josh Reynolds. So I don't anticipate that the Jets will add another receiver. I think if they were going to do so, it would have happened well earlier in the offseason. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Hope everyone had a great Monday. Appreciate your support as always. Appreciate your kind words. So shout out to all you guys in the chat again. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. That'll do it for me here on the show. We're back tomorrow as we are every single day talking about the New York Jets, and football is back, baby. So there is a time. It is a time to be alive. I appreciate you all. It's a great time to be alive with football being on. Hope everyone's enjoyed the games. Hope everyone is enjoying the NFL preseason as a whole. I appreciate you all. Like I said, back tomorrow, so smash the like button, hit subscribe, turn on post notifications. Appreciate all your support. I'm your host, Connor Long, signing off right here on NY Flight Jets Talk. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone. And as always, JTS, baby. Jets, Jets, Jets. Peace out, folks.